Welcome back, YouTube. It's the Barber Pastor one more time. It's a pleasure to have you with me one more time. I'm really appreciative of this week's video. This is a real good client of mine, and I thank him that he allowed me to just demonstrate what he usually gets when he comes in. We are doing today just a comb over with a mid-fade on the side. Nothing too fancy. And he usually gets a hard part right here on the left side of his head. As you can see, I've already started to wet his hair down, and we're parting his hair, getting ready to begin. This is pretty basic stuff so far, so stay tuned. I'll try to explain as best I can for those who are new to the barbering industry. You know, if you're studying as a student in school, or if you're in the shop as an apprentice, hopefully you'll see something here that will be able to help you. I'm beginning to start from the zero down the bottom below the nape, around the neck, and I'm working up mid-length all the way around, you know, to begin this mid-fade. It's a pretty standard haircut in the barbershop nowadays, mid-fades. I think a lot of guys are starting to get away from the high and tights. But I do a lot of military, and those guys do get high and tights every now and then, being that it's so standard. And it's a haircut that you know, barbers will get a lot of requests for, especially where I am in Hampton Roads, Virginia. So we're getting in here now. I've started by going around and I'm creating a ledge, and the ledge is just my base, sort of like a guide, setting my perimeter all the way around, and I'm not going any farther than where the ledge hangs over. And the ledge look is important, and it's a pretty classic look for a comb over. So again, we're just going around. It's working the clipper at the zero around the head. You'll see me use my clipper and my comb a lot in my videos. I think the technique is pretty standard, and especially for straight hair. And I prefer to do that versus using guards. It cuts down a lot of the time, and I find it's more precise a lot of time than having to use guidelines. Guidelines do take time to set in, but again, it's not to deter anyone from using them, and I'm not speaking against anybody who uses them. You can't, it's kind of hard to mess up a haircut when you use a guideline. I mean, because that's what guidelines are for. It makes the fade more precise, but as you matriculate and your craft evolves, you become more efficient, then you'll learn that you do not have to use guidelines, and it cuts down a lot of time when you just go ahead and cut your fade in. I try to keep my clients clean as possible while I'm working. Sanitation is essential in the barbershop or the salon, wherever you may be working, wherever you're practicing your craft. And that's pretty much self-explanatory. So always, work and clean as you go. All right, we've opened our lever all the way up on the clipper. And I'm going up maybe about a half an inch. And then I'll fade back down from there. Going back down with the lever halfway. So it's just like setting up a guide. I'm using the same steps, but I don't set in guidelines. I just fade as I go along. And it just saves a lot of time. I mean, you can turn a haircut that would normally take an hour using guidelines into 20 minutes. So that's just what I'm doing here. That's pretty much what I do. Just continuing to go around with the clipper all the way open. And I'm making sure that I don't go above. If there were a line, I'm envisioning my lines as I go along. I don't go above my invisible guideline, pretty much. And again, the more you do this, the easier it becomes. It is not hard to learn. I just learned watching at school, watching my instructor. Shout out to Emmanuel Gallo of Edify in Richmond, Virginia. Outstanding instructor and barber craftsman. So I thank him for just the opportunity to sit under his wing. So I never forget where I come from, y'all. And don't you do the same. Don't forget the people who helped you along the way. All right, I'm taking a pause here because I believe I've just put on my number 1 guard, and I'm fading up again about a half an inch, and we're gonna take that around the head, and we'll continue to work up on our fade. Alright, this fade is looking pretty good, as you can see. Again, you guys, it is possible to do this without using guidelines. As you can see, this fade is pretty clean. There are no visible lines. Sometimes, you might see something in there, and that's when you go back and you pick up whatever tool or instrument you might need to continue to clean up little areas that you might see. And as you become more proficient, you'll learn how to go back and work with precision, utilizing the time you have, because especially if you're working on appointments, you want to be as efficient as you can in the time that you have. I usually allot 30 minutes a haircut, so I'm making sure that my work is clean and that I don't make too many mistakes that I have to go back and fix while I'm working. I take my time, but at the same time I'm precise, and I try to use precision in my haircuts, and using the steps that I know is going to make each haircut efficient. So I'm using a little more clip over comb. Again, I do that a lot in between my guards, and I use one guard for this haircut, and that was a number 1. And this has come out pretty good. I'm going back right now and just cleaning up, taking out bulk. This gentleman's hair pretty much stands straight out, so I'm taking away what he does not need. And when you're doing these type of haircuts, especially with this type of a hair type, as your client's hair is growing back, his haircut should look and stay as if you had cut it. That's if it's cut right. There are not going to be blocks and chunks of hair missing. It's still going to be consistent as his hair grows back. And that's an indicator of a really good haircut or really good hairstyle. If it maintains as it's growing in. When your client comes back, especially if it's a regular, you already know what your client wants. You sit down and you just clean it up, pretty much just retouching. And that's when you really get good. And it helps, again, to build that type of relationship and a rapport with your guests so that they come back and, it's just an easy 1, 2, 3. I think a retouch should never take any more than 20 to 30 minutes. If it's taking you longer than that, then keep on working. Keep at it, because you'll get there. The longer and you cut hair. So I'm blocking my guests in, lining them up, going back and checking to make sure that he's faded well. And I've opened my clipper all the way up again. These are cordless clippers, but I still keep them charging while I'm cutting, because I don't want any mishaps while I'm cutting hair. And thankfully, the cord that attaches to this clipper is long enough to be able to do that without being cumbersome. So that helps. I do use cordless clippers because I do use my wall magic clips a lot, especially when I'm not using my Babyliss Pros. So cordless clippers do come in handy. So I suggest that you do get those, because you can do more, and it enables you not to be restricted with cords. And it just looks neater and more professional as well. But for certain clippers, especially these, I'll keep my cord in because, of course, your clipper is more powerful. And it tends to be more efficient when you keep it charging. And it's not that I don't trust my tool. I definitely trust my tool. I find that these are my go-to clippers. So I definitely trust these. And I highly recommend the Go FX Babblers Pros. I think for the price, they do what they're supposed to do. And as you can see, if you work the tool correctly, because it's not about the tool, it's the person that's using the tool. But if you work it correctly, you can come up with some nice, clean haircuts. Now, I find that you can do the same with tools that aren't as expensive. It's all about the person using it. So keep that in mind. You don't have to spend $200 to $300 on a clipper. There are some nice clippers from China or Japan that you can use that are only $30 to $5 that do the same thing. So master your craft and don't be a collector. I'm going to wrap this up. I want to thank you for tuning in one more time. I can't expect to be anything or do anything in this industry without you. I need your help to further what I do, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. So wherever you are right now, be blessed, and peace and blessings to you. I'm out.
Audio Jungle. 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 Audio Jungle.